Fam, what's up with the squad? It's your favorite auntie with Uncle Tendencies. Welcome back to Cess Talk Sports. Shout out to my loyal family. Keep pulling up. And if you're new around here, welcome to the community. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell so you never miss a drop. Everybody, go ahead, like, comment, share, hype this video so I know you pulled up. In this episode, we're talking about history. Not just a big win, not just a blowout. I'm talking about a program reset of what dominance even means. South Carolina 121, Queens 49. That's not a typo. That's not a video game on rookie. That's a Dawn Staley coach team putting 121 on somebody and walking off the floor like, yeah, and what about it? So do me a favor real quick. Drop 121 in the comments if you watched this game or followed the box score and just sat there like, yo, how is this even real? And if you didn't see it live, run it back because we're going to walk this one all the way down. Let's start right where the story really lives. Colonial Life Arena, November 23rd, 2025. 15,222 people in the building. This is not just a crowd. That's a congregation. That's aunties, uncles, babies, and little Gamecock onesies, students, old heads who've been there since the pre-Asia days. All of them pulling up thinking, okay, Queens out the A-Sun, this should be a nice little tune-up before Vegas. And then South Carolina decided, nah, this is a message. From the jump, you could feel it. The way we warmed up, the way the ball was popping around in layup lines, the way Dawn was locked in on that sideline. This didn't feel like a casual Sunday. This felt like the calm before an avalanche. Queens came in 3-2, feeling like, decent after a road win at South Carolina State, where Brene Jones-Grant dropped 28. They've been hitting threes, spacing the floor, feeling like we got some juice. But there's a difference between having juice and walking into a program that is a full-blown dynasty factory. South Carolina 5-0, sitting at number 2 in the country, already hanging 100 plus multiple times this season, shooting over 60% like it was a layup line. This game was billed as a little non-conference matchup. In reality, it became a moment when the rest of the country had to say, oh, this is the new standard in Columbia. See, let's park here for a second, because to understand why 121 matters, you got to understand the Dawn Staley arc. When Dawn first came to South Carolina, the identity was simple. Clamp up, on the glass, grind you in the dust. Win 60-48, dare somebody to call it boring. Asia Wilson and Leah Boston, those eras, the calling card was defensive dominance in the paint. South Carolina would just put a lid on the rim and say, you're not scoring in here. We could beat you by 30 while only scoring 70. Now, fast forward to this season. This year's squad is looking at that blueprint and saying, we respect it, we honor it, but we finna add some nitro to the engine. The previous high under Dawn was 119 against College of Charleston. That was a squad folks thought was one of her most talented offensive teams. And this group came out 6 games into the season like 119. Cute, huh? Hold our Gatorade. Scoring 121 while shooting 66% from the field. Third time already this season over 60% shooting. Third game over 100 points. Only 6 games into the schedule. That's not a hot streak. That's not a fluke. That's an identity shift. South Carolina didn't abandon defense. We just decided we're going to guard you for 94 feet and then sprint straight down your throat on the other end. Let's break down how this actually unfolded, because the box score doesn't show the emotional violence that took place in that first quarter. Early on, Queens is actually hanging around. Scores tied 5-5. They hit a shot, they get a stop, and you can see their bench like, okay, we here. And then the Gamecocks flip the switch. From 5-5, South Carolina goes on a 24-0 run to end the quarter. Let me say that again. Queens didn't score for almost 7 minutes. This is what that looked like. Raven Johnson and Latson pick up full court. They in your jersey. They're denying the inbounds. They're turning you 3-4 times before half court. Suddenly, the comfy A-Sun offense gone. Queens starts throwing lazy passes and South Carolina start eating. Steal, layup, trap, turnover, tip, run out. Joyce Edwards running the floor like a guard. Madina Okot cleaning the glass like it owes her money. Guards sprinting wide, filling lanes. It's a track meet, and Queens showed up in church shoes. By the time the buzzer hits on the first quarter, it's 29-5. Queens goes 1 for 15 from the field in the quarter. 1 bucket. That 24-0 stretch, that's not just talent, that's culture. That's a program that understands how to smell blood and close the door immediately. Bam, drop a 24-0 in the comments if you love when South Carolina decides we done playing with you and just flips it into demolition mode. Now, second quarter is where the story get a little more emotional. Scoreboard-wise, South Carolina just doubled down. Another 29-point quarter. Rolling into halftime of 58-19, but the key moment, Maddy McDaniel checks in. She's been out with suspension and injury, been away 3 games. Folks been wondering where she at, what's the status, when is she coming back, and how will she look? She walks to the scorer's table. You can hear the crowd. It's all love. She got the knee brace on, but she's moving. She slides into the press, gets touches, starts facilitating, picks her spots. The box score says 2 points, 3 assists in 12 minutes. But if you watch, you know the real stat was peace of mind. Because what Dawn Staley wants going into Vegas is a 10-player rotation she trusts. And this game gave her that. Maddie's return wasn't about her dropping 20. It was about rhythm, timing, reps, and chemistry. South Carolina didn't let up. That second quarter proved this isn't just a strong starting five. This is a wave. Third quarter, that's when it turned into a masterclass. South Carolina hung 30 in that frame. Every trip down felt like a coaching video on how to play modern offense in 2025. You want post dominance? Joyce Edwards and Madina Okot? Got you. You want to see spacing and shooting? Here comes Tessa Johnson, stepping in the shots with that smooth confidence we all saw in March when she turned into a problem on the national stage. You want pace? Raven and Tanaya are like, cool, let's run it again. Queens actually has their best offensive quarter here. They hit 4 or 5 from 3, put up 16 points, show a little of why they've been dangerous in the A-Sun. And you had Anna and Alyssa trying to inject some life. But here's the thing. You can't trade threes for layups when you're already down 40. Every time Queens hit something, South Carolina came back with something easier, louder, and more demoralizing. Into 3, 88-35. At that point, this isn't about who wins. This is how far can this go? By the time we get to the fourth, you can feel it in the building. Yo, they might really break that record. The starters sit, but the standard does not. The starters sit, but the standard don't. This is where you see just how unfair this roster is. Off the bench, you got Adhel, Miriam Dowda, Maddy getting more reps. They are not energy bodies you throw in just to eat minutes. They are McDonald's All-Americans and high-level talent who would be focal players somewhere else. South Carolina dropped 33 in the fourth quarter alone. That's a lot of teams' whole game total. Adhel is out there like, I'm not jogging this out. I got something to say. She snatches boards, finishes inside, runs the floor. Miriam Dowda working. The bench is hooping like it's a one-possession tournament game. And then we get to that moment. South Carolina ties the Staley record at 119. The crowd knows it. The bench knows it. Dawn knows it. Ball goes inside to Miriam Dowda. She gets it in the paint, takes her time, finishes 1-2-1. The place erupts, not just because of the number, but because of what it represents. This isn't a one-player show. This isn't a team that has to leave starters in for style points. South Carolina hit 121 as a collective. Final score 121-49. 72-point margin. That's not just domination. That's demolition with documentation. Joyce Edwards is the new prototype, okay? Let's talk about this personnel, because this wasn't just about the scoreboard. This was about who did what and how. Starting with Rolls Royce. 25 points, leading scorer, efficient, patient, dominant. Joyce is that modern forward we've all been talking about. Long, fluid, can run the floor, face up, post up, and guard multiple positions. She's got that same calm, quiet intensity we saw from Asia as she matured. That ability to be the center of gravity without yelling, without doing too much, just being inevitable. What I love about Joyce in this game, she didn't chase those 25. She let the game come to her. She took advantage of mismatches, got to her spots, and finished. And remember, she's still early in her college career. This is not her ceiling. This is her baseline on a Sunday in November. Fam, drop Joyce different in the comments if you see the same thing I see. That she's just not the next step. She's right now. Tanaya Latson, listen, this is the speed merchant. 24 points, and honestly, it felt like she could have had 35 if she wanted to. Tanaya came to South Carolina out the portal with a reputation. Bucket, certified, national scoring leader type energy. What this game showed us how perfectly she fits this new identity. South Carolina wants to push the pace. Cool. Get a ball to Tanaya and get out the way. She's a blur in transition. Off a steal, a long rebound, even a made basket, she's gone. 1 or 2 dribbles, splits the defense, finishes or draws help, and dishes. In the half court, that first step is lethal. Queens tried to cut her off, tried to sit on her right hand, tried to wall up, and it did not matter. She's the embodiment of that new South Carolina we're talking about. She still committed to defense, still tough, but now with a guard who can just bend the game with speed and pressure. You can see why she chose to come to Columbia. She didn't just join a great team. She joined a system that lets her be the engine. Now let's talk about the front line, because this is where it really gets scary. I mean, nightmares for the rest of the country. Madina Okot, 14 points, 12 boards. Double-double that felt like she was just doing her job, not even stretching. She controlled the glass. Every time Queens thought, okay, we finally got to stop, here comes Madina on the offensive boards, ripping it down and putting it right back in. Defensively, her length completely distorted what Queens wanted to do. Guards looked at the lane and said, actually, let me pull this 3 instead, because she was there waiting like a shadow. Then you bring in Adhel off the bench, and she drops an 11-10 double-double of her own. Let me be real. If your backup post is giving you a double-double in limited minutes, that's not fair. Adele's energy in that fourth quarter was huge and pushing this thing over the top in the record territory. Every rebound she snagged was another chance at history. Together, Okot and Tack send a message to the country. This era of South Carolina didn't give up its roots. The rim is still protected. The glass is still owned. The paint is still property of Columbia. We cannot have this conversation and not talk about the Johnson backcourt. Raven Johnson, 12 points, but her impact is always bigger than a box score. She's the organizer, the traffic cop, the emotional thermostat. She decides when it's time to press, when it's time to push, when it's time to pull it out and run something. In this game, she dictated tempo like a seasoned vet. You can see her reading the Queen's guards, picking the exact moment to apply pressure, then turning that into instant offense. Tessa Johnson, 13 points, smooth as ever. Tessa's the shooter that keeps the whole floor stretched. When she's spacing to the corner or lifting to the wing, defenses have to honor that. They can't send everybody to help on Joyce or Tanaya because Tessa will make them pay. She's also more than just a spot-up shoot. She's also more than just a spot-up shooter. She can put it on the floor, hit pull-ups, playoff curls. She's grown from X Factor to pillar. This guard group, Raven, Tanaya, Tessa, plus Maddy back in the mix, gives Dawn something she hasn't always had in the volume. Relentless guard depth with different flavors. Now, I'm never going to sit here and clown the opponent. Queens walked into a tough environment and got hit with a historic performance. That's rough. But there were still bright spots for them. Brene Jones-Grant followed up that 28-point game at South Carolina State with 10-7. Here against one of the best front courts in the country. She competed. She didn't back down. Germany Map struggled from the field, but stayed aggressive. Tried to create something. Tried to keep her team fighting. Anna Barreto knocked down 2 threes and showed the kind of shooting Queen leans on in ASUN play. This game highlighted the reality of mid-majors in this era. You can be good, even very good in your lane. But when you step into a building like Colonial Life against a roster like this, it exposes the resource gap, the size gap, the depth gap. But Queens also gets a check, experience, and film out of this. That's part of building a program too. Those young women will be better in February because they saw what the top of the mountain looks like in November. Let's talk stats for a second because the numbers is nasty. But we're going to do it like family, not a math class. South Carolina shoots 66 from the field. Queens, 22.9%. That's basically one team is at the rim all night. The other team is living off contested jumpers and prayers. Queens hits 9 threes on 28 attempts. That's around 32%, which is actually solid. But again, it's not enough when you're giving up layups, almost dunks damn near, and high percentage looks on the other end every trip. Rebounds, just know that Okot and Tax combined 22 boards are almost matching Queens' whole squad. South Carolina forces 21 turnovers and turns those into 22 points. That's not just defense, that's upgrading every mistake into a fast break layup. And my favorite part, the quarter-by-quarter consistency, 29, 30, 31, 32. No lull, no lazy quarter, no we're up 40, let's coast. We kept our foot on the gas for 40 minutes. That's what separates a good team from a great one, and a great one from a terrifying one. In the comments, tell me this. If you had to describe this performance with one word, what would it be? Drop it below. So what does this game tell us about who South Carolina is right now? First, transition is no longer a luxury. It's a lifestyle. Missed shot, run. Made shot, run. Still, we running. The outlet pass is in. Wings sprint to the corners. Tanaya and Raven are coming downhill before the defense can even find their assignment. Secondly, defensively, this is not the old school pack line where you just sit and wait. We are up in you. We're switching, trapping, jumping passing lanes. We've got multiple players who can guard 1 through 4, sometimes 1 through 5. Third, the interior has gone from park on the block and wait to positionless movement. Okot, Edwards, tack, we're screening, rolling, cutting, flashing to the high post, diving from the weak side. That creates driving lanes, passing windows, and those 66% shooting nights. This 121 is the proof of concept that everything Dawn has been building toward with this roster is real. This isn't just about being the best defensive team in the country anymore. This is about being the most complete team in the country. When we look out at the national scene, we're in an era of super teams in women's college basketball. The portal, NIL, branding, all of it means elite talent is clustering at places that can offer exposure, development, and real shots at rings. South Carolina is at the center of the storm. You got homegrown stars, you got transfers like Tanaya, you got international talent and late bloomers. All of it is organized under a coach who has absolutely nothing left to prove. Yet still coaches like she's the underdog. On the other side, you got programs like Queens grinding, building, hoping to catch a giant sleeping. But when you walk into this version of South Carolina, you ain't catching us napping. You catching us evolving. Now let's talk about the Players Era Championship in Las Vegas. This Queens game was not just about style points. It was a dress rehearsal before the feature presentation. Up next, Duke, then possibly UCLA or Texas. All of that in the spotlight tournament with NIL money, cameras everywhere, narratives flying. You don't go into that kind of environment trying to find yourself. You go in sharp. So what did Dawn get out of 121.49? She got Joyce in full rhythm. She got Tanaya firing on all cylinders. She got Okot and Tack feeling unstoppable on the glass. She got Tessa dialing in from deep. She got Maddy back in the fold. She proved the bench cannot just maintain the lead, but build on it. This game was about building a reservoir of confidence, something we can draw from later when we're in a tight third quarter in Vegas or deep in SEC play or in the national semifinal stage somewhere down the line. Now I'm going to keep it real like I always do. Dropping 121 on Queens does not mean every big-time opponent is going to fold like that. Duke's not Queens. UCLA is not Queens. Texas is not Queens. But y'all know what I think. But what this game shows you is the ceiling of this South Carolina team. If we're locked in defensively, if we're sharing the ball, if we're running, if the bench is engaged, you're going to have to play almost perfectly to even stay in the gym with us. And that's the nightmarish part. Because this wasn't one player going nuclear. This was everyone eating, everyone defending, everyone buying in. The floor for this team is still very high. We can win ugly if we have to, but the ceiling, we just saw a glimpse of it, and it looked like 121-49. Before we wrap, I got to give flowers to the fam. 15,222 in the house. For a non-conference game, that's not normal. That's not happening everywhere. South Carolina's crowd is part of the system. That energy during the 24-0 run, that roar when Maddy checked in, that explosion when Dowda hit the bucket for 121. That's a relationship between a team and a community that has been built over years. So whether you were in the building or watching from the couch, you were part of that moment. Let me know in the comments, where were you when you realized, oh, we might really hit 120 tonight? So what did we learn? We learned that under Dawn Staley big drip, dominance evolves, but it never disappears. We learned that Joyce Edwards Rolls Royce is stepping up comfortably into superstardom. We learned that Tanaya Latson was not just a splashy portal headline. She's a system changer. We learned that South Carolina's front court depth, unfair. We learned that the guards are deep, connected, and dangerous. We learned that 121 is not just a number, it's a message to the SEC, to the rest of the country, to every bracket that's going to come out in March. The message is simple. South Carolina isn't just trying to win. South Carolina is trying to redefine what winning looks like. All right, fam. Make sure you drop a comment with your thoughts on South Carolina's historic 121-point statement win over Queens and what it really means for this season. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell, and share this video with somebody who loves the game and the Gamecocks. Catch y'all next time on Cess Talk Sports, where we always bring you the latest on the rising stars and legends in the making. Keep hooping. Stay tuned. Talk soon, y'all. I'm out.